opening, opposite side castling, but the players were moving very quickly, and suddenly there's been fast developments.
Yeah, and just to mention, in the background there, we see the arbiter clearing up one of the boards. That was board 1. The top board clash between Erwin Lamy and Fabiano Caruana did, as predicted, end in a draw. Not the most eventful game in the end, but a solid result for both players.
Yep. And both players will be happy. Fabiano getting a draw with black. It's always a good result in one of these strong events. And what do we think about this position?
Yeah, this is the live position. Just catching up with this game. White is a pawn up, but black does have perfect dark square control. Black has a blockade on the central dark squares. The knight looks pretty decently placed right now. Would you take the pawn or would you take the control here, Jovanka?
I would take the pawn.
I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
need to ask. Silly question.
Well, okay, the control can be chipped away at. So how to improve this for white? White to play. I mean, there is a threat of rook takes e3. So I've got to look after that one. So let's step forward with the queen.
F3 most likely. And yeah, this is the type of advantage that is quite long term, but you could imagine scenarios where black kind of installs a knight, maybe queen f3 played.
Bingo.
Yeah, where black somehow reroutes the knight into e5, replaces the rook there, and black has a fortress. Yeah, right now, Erigaisi, he loves material as well, I've noticed. I think he'll be feeling confident. He does have plans of improvement. Queen f4, slowly pushing pawns forward. Not sure what else to do. Maybe play move like a3, just give white king some breathing space. Not to play b4 while queens remain, but at least you kind of avoid any tactics.
It's a nice move in general anyway, just to give your king a safety place, and also you can build, you can go rook to d4, you can go e4, you can, and what do we see? G6.
We see a very logical move. I think black's pretty much doing the same, justifying it in the same way as we said a3. Black also needs to give his king some breathing space for the incoming tactics later, and he plays g6. Interesting that he doesn't play h6. Normally you want pawns on dark squares, but here that doesn't really give the king some real escape squares, so g6 instead. Much more logical.
Yep.
It's just hard to see how to win long term, even if black just sits, even if black puts a knight back on d7. The problem is you have no dark square control if you're white.
Well, I think eventually you're going to have to go e4. And what I'm trying to hope for is to go queen to g3 and h4 and g5 and maybe h5.
Yeah, makes sense. Just at least make the black king feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In terms of piece exchanges, which ones do you feel black or white should be aiming for here? Or which ones to avoid?
Well, it's a bit mission impossible, but I would love to trade off the bishop for the knight.
Yeah, that one definitely. Black will be avoiding that at all costs.
But yeah, I don't see how I'm ever going to get that one in this lifetime. But okay, maybe a set of rooks as well.
Yeah.
If I could remove the e5 rook from this world, I would be very happy.
Yeah, to me it feels like white would be happy to trade off pretty much any set of pieces. Maybe the queens will be, it will come down to a case-by-case basis, but the rooks in general very much would love to exchange off with white. If you can take everything off the board, bishop versus knight, as long as you have maybe an active king, then should be good winning chances. Feels like Erigaisi 2-result game, a win or a draw.
Yeah. And do you actually think that Erigaisi might get tempted to go make some flashy move like h4 at some point?
It's quite a flashy customer, Erigaisi.
Yeah, I kind of thinking about, sack.
Never stop the way, birds jumping and I hear my name, grasping into life is happy but it's so insane, we must merely make a strive, Savannah, I'm coming home, Savannah. We'll never be alone, Savannah. The beauty of the world, Savannah. Let's all take a walk, Savannah. is gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the land. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never
The pawn and then maybe pile up on the h9.
Yeah.
But obviously,
the beauty of the world. Savannah.
we do see that there was another rook and pawn ending in the tournament hall, and it was between Arjun Erigaisi and Alexey Sarana. What do we think about this one?
Yeah, this is hard to evaluate, I've got to say. We do see just on the side of the screen the evaluation bar, which is planted in the middle, but of course that doesn't even tell half the story here, where white has an extra pawn. Unfortunately for Arjun Erigaisi, the pawns are not connected. If they were kind of connected to each other, it would be an easy win. You march the pawns down the board. The problem here is that black's a pawn will act as a deflection. It will distract the white army, maybe even marching the whole way down the board. White's rook will be forced to go behind, but the black king is within the vicinity of harassing that rook. To me, it feels like quite good winning chances, but unfortunately, the computer here is spoiling my optimism, Ivanka.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at some of these concrete lines, right? So first of all, what's going to happen if Alexey just moves his rook to a1?
Yeah.
Get that rook behind the passed e-pawn
Yeah.
if needed.
Looks really logical. I think that's just good endgame strategy. Go behind, harass the king, give some checks, keep an eye on the pawns. The problem is for white as well, your king will be torn in two minds, protecting the c-pawn and or e-pawn. Okay, let's say, what would be logical for white here? King d4, e5.
Yeah, king
One of these
d4.
moves. Yeah.
King
Let's say we'll
d4.
go forward.
And now
And now, how does black continue?
maybe run. Can you
Yeah.
run with the a-pawns?
Two strategies: you run or you give checks. Let's say we run.
Yeah, let's.
The problem is, just to highlight, rook a5 always met by this annoying move, and you've only got two squares on the a file, and the black king covers them both,
Yes.
and we would see a repetition. So can't go behind yet if we want to win with white. Let's go back.
Okay, so let's step up with the c-pawn.
C4.
Just want the equal measure rule to see whether it's a general one or perhaps just the exception. Okay, so now I wanted to get the rook behind the pawn.
And if I continue pushing,
Now this is the problem, right? I
you have to shelter from checks. So you have
Okay,
to go
now I'm
forward.
gonna choose the e-pawn.
Gonna keep the e-pawn protected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to highlight, if you go the other way, okay, he's actually pushed his pawn immediately first. We're likely to transpose, but if you go this way, then black could, at the very minimum, trade off the e-pawn for this a-pawn. And as you say, the c-pawn, it's just too close. Black's king will easily blockade. Straightforward draw. Endgame 101. So keeping the e-pawn. Now, black should not get tempted to trade off these pawns, because actually the black king will get cut off on the d file, and white will slowly but surely march his pawn up the board, likely to end in the Lucina position.
Yep.
So, oh wow, I went the whole way back, but let's reenact this or something like this. Okay, we're likely to at least get a variant or a spin on this position, Ivanka.
Yeah.
But the problem is, how does white make progress if the black king just moves, for example?
No progress.
No progress. The problem is the king is stuck, glued to its own pawn.
And if you step up with the king, well, then the rook will get behind the e-pawn,
Yeah,
and that's just a draw.
just a draw. And okay, talking of a draw, we see the white rook has gone behind. What is Erigaisi planning here if the black king continues attacking this rook?
And, well, we will get an answer to that question.
Well, we might see a
Maybe.
handshake. A repetition is incoming. The second time we've seen this position, the black king will continue attacking the white rook, and maybe Erigaisi giving up his
Yep.
winning chances. He pressed as hard as he could, but not getting anywhere. And
Yep, handshake, draw has been agreed between these two players. And I'm also just looking at the accuracy.